There we go. Hello, this is Jennifer McCreath. Welcome to the St. John's Pride 2010 Educational Forum. This video is a discussion about the concept of the trans entity. LGBT, we've heard that acronym many times. The first three refer to what's known as sexual orientation, those who basically how you identify in terms of who you're attracted to. T is not a sexual orientation. T is a basically it's about identity and expression. This is not about who we're attracted to, it's about who we are, who we perceive we are, or how we desire to be physically. Backing up, gender and sex are terms that are often kind of confused and mixed and assumed to mean the same thing. They're not. Sex is what's between your legs, gender what's between your ears. Sex is biological, gender is perception of who you are or what you are. When we say the word gender identity, we're essentially talking about how we perceive ourselves. Just because you are born with a penis or a vagina does not necessarily guarantee that you will identify with the gender that is typically assigned with said sexes. Someone who identifies as trans is essentially saying, I do not believe I am supposed to be the gender which is typically assigned with the physical sex. The term transgender basically implies that you desire to or are in the process of changing your, I guess, presentation of gender role. In my case, I was born male and was kind of brought up as a boy. I was, I guess, inappropriately assigned the gender of boy by my parents. They have no idea, obviously, that this baby was a woman. Transsexual means you're taking it above the presentation of gender role and want to physically alter, specifically your genitals. In my case, that is the ultimate goal. Not only are we going from presenting myself from a man to a woman, we're in the process of physically changing the body from male to female. And I guess it's also worth mentioning that the T community includes several other forms of entities that aren't specific to the biological or medical transition. Terms such as transvestite, drag queen, essentially describe someone who does not identify with a gender opposite of their sex, but they like to dress up or present themselves in the opposite gender role for which they identify, either for entertainment purposes or for sexual satisfaction. It turns them on. And that's kind of the biggest misconception, is the difference between medically necessary and lifestyle, shall we say. This lecture is going to focus in on the transgender and transsexual side of the coin. What do you do if you suspect you are trans, I guess is the question that everyone has. Well, if you live in St. John's, Newfoundland, you're going to have a bit of a challenge. Gatekeepers, medical professionals hold the keys to your ability to transition. This could include hormone replacement therapy and or sex reassignment surgical procedures. There is a global organization called World Professional Association for Transgender Health. Earlier today in our forum we had a rep from the Canadian branch of WPATH. This organization holds a protocol that basically defines how you assess somebody to determine exactly what course of action is required with a transition. Essentially, you can't just take a blood test and physically determine if someone's trans or not. Psychiatric dialogue with a qualified either psychiatrist and or psychologist. Basically, you have to meet with these folks and discuss your feelings, your thoughts for 3 months minimum. And if you're still convinced that you are trans or feel you need to transition, then they kind of put the rubber stamp on it and say, yes, you are a trans person, yes, you may proceed. You get a recommendation letter that says you are, I guess, technically you're clinically diagnosed with a mental illness. It's an old, out-of-date practice to label trans people as mentally ill. theories are out there that suggest this is not a mental illness, but it is actually a biological intersex condition. Ultimately, in the medical world, to get any type of treatment, you have to have a diagnosis. So call it what you want. Bottom line, you get a doctor's approval, then you can go ahead and start hormones. In my case, I took a testosterone blocker and estrogen, the female hormone, and there's another hormone available in some jurisdictions in the world called progesterone, which is also a natural female hormone. That's one that's kind of tough to get here. Bottom line is the goal is to demasculinize and feminize, in my case, the body. Over the course of 3 to 5 years, you will see physical changes in the body. You'll see softer skin, your body hair will become transparent, and you will see breast development, you will see weight redistribution. In my case, it's been weight gain. Going the other way, trans men who are females who are taking testosterone, they will see the voice deepen, they will see facial hair develop, they will see bigger and stronger muscles. Ultimately, that may be enough for some people who consider themselves transgender only and not transsexual. Those who are transsexual are going to require sex reassignment surgery. Before any surgeon is willing to operate, they want to make sure that this is in fact right for you. And again, that requires further discussions with psychiatric professionals over the course of a year. Essentially what the global protocol suggests is that you live your life in the desired gender role for a year. And if you're convinced it's making you happy and it's the right thing to do, then they will sign off that yes, you are in fact a transsexual and you in fact require the surgery. Biggest issue here in St. John's, Newfoundland is that our healthcare system, MCP, does not recognize the majority of the treatments that we need. In addition to surgeries and hormones, there are other, quote, cosmetic things that you pretty much have to do. If you're going to be a female, you can't have facial hair, and that needs to be permanently removed. That's just one of many examples. If you have male pattern baldness, you're going to have to deal with that somehow. It's just not deemed socially acceptable for a woman to have male pattern baldness. In my case, I'm wearing a wig. I guess the biggest issue here is misunderstanding on the basis of just lack of information. There's not a lot of information out there. There's a lot of misinformation. Trans people are not mentally ill. Dealing with a challenging society can lead to mental illness, no matter who you are. If you're going through some struggles in life, you're susceptible to depression, you're susceptible to wanting to commit suicide, and these are definite risks to the trans community. We face inappropriate scrutiny all over society, everything from access to employment, access to housing, violence, and assaults are issues. Ultimately, I'm here today to raise awareness that transsexuals are just regular human beings who are going through a transition, but other than that, we're basic human beings. We do the same things that everyone else does. We desire the same things. Love and affection from family and friends. We desire to maximize our potential in life. A lot of us go to school, have jobs, do sports, listen to music, you name it. Anyways, I guess I will leave it at that for my Trans 101. We're now going to move on, I believe, to another video on another topic, but thank you very much for watching. This is on YouTube, so you can watch this again if you really want to. Feel free to get in touch with me, jennifermccreath.blogspot.com, jennifer.mccreath@yahoo.com if you have any comments or questions. I'm always open to discussing transition, my life with anybody, and I can also point you into the direction of other interesting information. So thank you very much for watching. Now comes the fun part of shutting off the camera, but we're going to have the customary funny face before we sign off.